You're listening to the Ugly Truth Podcast with George and Christina Markoski, your weekly injection of science, insights, and myth-busting. For awesome info and trending content, go to theuglytruth.blog.
Hello, welcome back to The Ugly Truth.
Hi, guys.
And we've got Robert Talevski here, who's flown down from Sydney. You may have known him from another podcast where he talked about HRV. And today we're going to have a bit of a chat about one of my favourite subjects.
Stoicism.
That's right.
So welcome, Rob.
Thanks, guys.
Excellent. Now, Stoicism is an ancient philosophy and a way of life that the ancient Greeks and ancient Romans, certain ones, used. And Rob's going to be telling us more about it.
Sure. I'll be talking about Marcus Aurelius, which I'm most familiar with. So the Roman emperor, who is most renowned for being a Stoic.
Yes, I've got his book.
Yeah.
And I've been reading through his letters. Amazing. Because that's the only thing that's left over from him, all these letters that he wrote.
Yeah, and what you're referring to is the Meditations.
That's right.
Which was a book written for himself.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote notes to himself, and the collection of those notes is what the Meditations are. So it wasn't meant for anybody to read, it was just meant for himself to.
So it's like a diary, basically.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, he wrote letters
to remind himself,
to remind himself to be Stoic.
Yeah, to be Stoic, essentially.
Yes, because Stoicism started in ancient Greece and then moved on to Rome. And we're going to talk about Marcus Aurelius, who's amazing, because it's amazing how there was Marcus Aurelius, he was an emperor and very Stoic.
Yep.
And then there was the opposite of that, Epictetus, one of my favourite Stoics, and he was a slave and a Stoic. And I guess what's interesting about that is that they both come from a very different angle, but use the same philosophy, which is fascinating, because you've got the most powerful man in the world and probably one of the least powerful men in the world having the same philosophy, and both of them being genuinely very happy. And that's what which is amazing.
Yes, well, that's what made me curious about this philosophy, and I looked and read about Marcus Aurelius, and I was really, really impressed, because here you have, as you mentioned, a person who is the ruler of the world, of the known world, and he has absolute power, and he has wielded that power with just amazing. What's the word? It's like he had all the power to do anything and everything, and in the past, the Roman emperors are known for really going crazy.
Debauchery.
Power crazy,
really going crazy, killing.
Like, for example, look at Caligula. Well, I mean, that is a complete opposite of Marcus Aurelius, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And everyone's probably heard of Caligula. He had sex with his sister, killed his best friends, tortured people.
Yeah.
He was just having mass orgies and all sorts of stuff.
So Marcus was an exception to this.
Yes.
And you know what they say, the rule is about,
power
corrupts and
absolute power corrupts
absolutely.
Yes.
Well, this is a man that is an exception.
Total. What an exception. Amazing.
Yeah, so to me, that was just so interesting to me, and it was so inspiring that to see such a strong man to do the right thing and be kind of sane.
Well, it's interesting how he came to the throne in the first place, because he was adopted, right? And his adopted father was the emperor and made him the emperor, which is interesting.
Yeah, I'm not really familiar with that story, but the thing about Stoicism is that it's really a way of life to me. It is not an academic sort of understanding of philosophy, but really the application of the philosophy, and it's a way of life. So it's for me, it's something that I live every day, and that is the difference between sort of being a philosophy, academic, and actually
applying it.
So anybody can be a Stoic.
Yep.
You don't need to be, educated in a particular, field or university or whatever. So that's, I guess, what we're here to explain what exactly this means.
Absolutely. I mean, see, when people hear Stoic, they think of a statue, someone unfeeling and totally, you know what I mean, no expression, and that's probably not the right. We've got an interesting view of Stoicism because from what we hear, and obviously Stoicism is different to that. And what you're saying about it's a way of life. Back in the old Greek and Roman days, people that were into philosophy, they lived it. We're now, we're different now, where philosophy is more academic and thought process, but not actual way of life, right? And it's funny, Stoicism has had a huge resurgence in recent times, and a lot of people are getting into it. And I mean, for example, Tim Ferriss, he's very Stoic. He's into Stoicism.
So Stoicism's back in fashion.
It's back in fashion. Absolutely.
Yes. Tim is known to be a person that applies the philosophy within himself, or lives the philosophy. So where do we start really? It is essentially a state of being. It's not something that you do. Mm-hmm. So it is an internal feeling or congruence or authenticity.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Marcus Aurelius says that as long as you are, whatever you're doing, as long as you are applying yourself to the best of your ability, and constantly improving yourself, and doing the right thing, being your authentic self, that is virtue. That is a virtuous thing to do. Mm-hmm. So no matter what you're doing, right? As long as you are present, and then you have access then to your full capabilities by being present, by being congruent, by doing the right thing with as much as you can with everyone around you. That is a Stoic, and that is a virtuous way of life.
Yep. Being present. I mean, being present's a funny thing, because how do you sort of nail that? Tell me more about being present. How are you present? How do you become present?
We mentioned that in the last podcast. So it's, last time we talked about triggering or being triggered. Mm-hmm. Okay. Essentially, to me, that means that if something on the outside can change your internal representation of who you are, or make you angry, or make you...
Or change your emotions.
Change your emotions, make you, offended, right? Easily, right? Then you're not actually truly being strong internally.
Or being your authentic self.
Exactly. So you're not being authentic yourself if the outside can influence you internly very easily. Right, so if you lose your cool very easily, somebody says a word and then you are offended immediately. So for the smallest thing,
So there's
that is the actual I guess your internal feelings or your internal strengthening of mind is what the Stoicism is about, strengthening of mind.
So what you're saying is, correct me if I'm wrong. So if something small offends you, then obviously you haven't done a lot of personal growth. And as you become more Stoic, larger things don't offend you, and more bigger things. Now the thing is, okay, we got offence of one thing, but what about something that affects you in a positive way? So let's say I see a beautiful sunset and that affects me emotionally. Is that being Stoic or not being Stoic?
Absolutely, yeah.
It is being Stoic.
Yes.
Okay.
Stoic is also accepting nature, accepting the laws of nature, accepting that we are born, we live, we express our true authentic self, then we die, or people around us die.
That's right.
Bad things happen.
Yep.
We can't control the outside.
So is it really about, I guess, accepting what you can control and can't control?
Yeah, absolutely.
And using your internal power to sort of deal with that the best
absolutely
way you can.
So strengthening your mind to deal with the realities of living the life that we are living.
Yep.
Right?
But how do you strengthen your mind? I mean, it's easy to say it, but I mean, what are you
Well,
doing? I mean,
yeah,
it's not like
absolutely.
going to the gym, because strengthening your body's easy. You go to the gym, lift some weights, you get stronger. Strengthening the mind's a little bit more nebulous and a bit harder to sort of get concrete.
Yes and no. I touched upon that in the last podcast, and again, it is about. Last time I said that quote with the Tibetan Book of Living and Dying, in the Tibetan Book of Living and Dying, that says the cause of all pain is avoiding pain. So if somebody offends you, okay, you are noticing that internal, what is actually happening internally, and then you are accepting that, and you are becoming aware of that, and you are then not running away from it.
Yep.
Okay.
So what are you doing instead?
Well, you're
towards it.
feeling it.
Yep, you're feeling
it.
Okay.
As long as you're not running away. So running away from it means sort of looking at where that came from, and then attacking somebody, whoever did this sort of hurt to you. Right?
Yep. But
that
no one
is
hurt
not the
you
way to
because
do it.
you hurt yourself.
Exactly.
Because it's your interpretation.
You allowed yourself.
It's your interpretation.
You allowed that to actually affect you. So feeling it and being with it and not running away from it, right? That actually strengthens your mind. And Marcus Aurelius talks about that in his meditations book all the time. Strengthening your mind, because this, what he says that, or the Stoic philosophy says that whatever can be taken away from you, right, you can't control. So whatever you, anything that can be taken away from you is essentially that you can't control.
Yep.
Right. So the only thing you can control is your mind. So strengthening your mind is the most important thing.
Yeah, because I know in Stoicism they say, what do you control? Your mind. What don't you control? Your body.
Pretty much everything.
The people around you, the world,
the outside
everything.
world.
Yeah,
So
and
you
it's
can't
amazing.
predict what's going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah, your health you don't even control in Stoicism.
I'm not sure about that, but
your body. Yeah, your body you don't control. So
okay, well, your body and mind is one, and it's not something you can separate. So if you're actually working on your mind, you're also working on your body, because your mind affects your body.
yes.
Yeah. So when we talk about somebody's triggered, you feel it in your body,
Yes.
right? And how you deal with it is you are accepting it, you are noticing it, you're not running away from it, and therefore you are then strengthening your mind.
Yep.
And body is one.
So what if someone's being a real dick?
Sure.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Do you just walk away, or
The-
what do you do?
Or
So
do you?
the thing
What
is
do you
this.
do? Like someone's
Well,
a dick.
if
and what
somebody
do you do?
is actually being that way, and is it actually affecting you or not?
All right. Yeah. So look,
They can be what they want to be.
One
but-
classic example is, I suppose, is a lot of people when they drive get a bit of road rage, right?
Yep.
And I've got a friend, and when he drives, he'll drive 5 minutes and find 2 or 3 cars that he's pissed off with for some reason. We know we're not going to mention his name, but we know who he is.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, one thing I find is when I drive is I don't really care what other people are doing because I'm not there to judge them. I'm there to do my own journey,
Yep.
which is a lot easier to do than getting angry at everyone for no
Well,
reason, because you don't even know why they're doing that. They could be running late for the hospital or doing this or doing that.
Exactly.
Who knows? Like,
Well, that's on
who
the
cares?
subject of triggering. So he
gets triggered very. He gets easily triggered.
So
Easily.
essentially, he is not strengthening his mind. So every time that he allows that to happen to him, he's not exactly growing or getting strong easy.
No. But but what about boundaries? You know what I mean?
Okay.
Having boundaries and Stoicism. How does that work? Because if someone triggers you or offends you, we're not going to respond. We're going to be very cool. But you certainly need certain boundaries too.
It's not about not responding.
Yep. Okay.
It is not allowing the outside to influence you internally, right? So to influence your true self, right? So having, if you were to classify your true self as being strong, that's the definition. Not allowing the outside to really affect you, change you.
Yes.
Change your
Yep.
state.
Yep. All
So
right. Yes,
make
'cause-
you from being calm to being angry.
Yes.
Right? So you are then capable of, you have your full capability.
Yeah, because if you're
We talk
angry,
about,
we
you know,
spoke about the fighting.
the polyvagal
Yes.
theory and all that.
Yep.
You're going into a reptilian mode if you get angry, right? And, you
Yep.
talk
And
about
therefore
the
you lose.
fighters
You're
and
not.
everything.
You're not as good.
Right.
Yeah, totally.
So having that means that you have the full capability. So whatever is coming at you, you're more prepared, or you're more capable of actually responding
And you'd have better
correctly.
judgment. Yeah.
Exactly, better judgment.
Okay, so I suppose
So that's what it is. That's essentially in the same sort of vein.
That's right. So I guess people that become successful CEOs and successful in large corporations,
Yep.
one thing they've got in common, they're very cool.
Exactly.
Very cool.
That's
and
right.
the reason you can't
And they
get
don't
high
lose their
up.
cool.
They don't lose their cool. They're super cool, and that's why being cool is being cool. Like look at the
Yeah.
Fonz. He was super cool. He didn't get angry. Right? He'd go, hey, but you know
That's
what I mean?
why it's popular.
That's why it's popular, because he was super cool. He didn't get angry, right?
That's right.
Wow, pretty cool. So being stoic has been cool.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not about not responding.
Yep.
Not at all.
Yeah, because the Fonz.
You're fully
yeah.
responsive to all your emotions. You are quite adept at feeling anything and everything, right?
Yep.
But you don't let the outside
Yeah.
change you.
Yeah. So would we say
That's the
that
strength of mind.
Fonzie was a modern day stoic in that role?
I guess so.
You know, I reckon it's pretty cool.
He was pretty cool.
Hey. I just had to
It
do
took
that.
I've never
but
seen him
I
lose his cool.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. He was always so cool. You know what I mean? Yeah, so that was pretty cool. Yeah, okay. So keeping your cool, because I suppose people that are successful usually keep
Yep.
their cool.
Yeah.
Like, for example, if you let's say you're driving along and you cut off Elon Musk, he probably wouldn't crack it at you and swear at you and
I'm
do
quite
do
sure he
stuff.
wouldn't.
No,
I'm quite sure he
he's too. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
got bigger fish to fry. He's got more important
Yeah,
things to worry about.
absolutely.
So that's the sort of like, he's probably stoic in his own way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the best way to start getting into Stoicism? What would you recommend? Like being grateful? Would that be a good way to start?
Yeah, good point. Yeah, I mean, anything that can help you become more of you, more of your authentic self,
Right.
more congruent, you know, and more. I don't know what to say, but more capable, I guess.
Unlock
mentally
your
strong,
true potential, I guess.
Let's see. I have to think about that actually.
Epictetus,
Yep.
right? That's one of my favourite Stoics. Now, he was a slave, and being a slave back in the Rome days wouldn't have been very nice. Now, he was very happy. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So he
And-
was happy despite his conditions.
Well, because the world around him didn't affect
Yeah.
him. He was happy within himself because he was stoic. Now, how do you do that?
I mean, it's the same process.
Because
Essentially-
I mean, Marcus
essentially it's-
Aurelius. I mean, he was the emperor. Probably a little bit easy to be happy, but obviously he's got his own stress. But the
It's-
slave,
They both have their stress, and I would say that Marcus Aurelius possibly could have a lot more stress because the
Being the
whole
emperor.
of the empire is dependent of him, on him.
yeah.
right?
But if you had a choice, like if someone said, most people say, look, what would you rather be if I took you back in time on a
Yeah.
time machine? Do you want to be the emperor or do you want to be a slave? Everyone would be going, shit, yeah, I'll be the emperor. Like, would you agree?
Well, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, but being an emperor or a CEO or someone in charge, there's a lot of pressure
You
there.
know, to me, I feel that they are both just as virtuous.
Of course they are, but from a different angle.
From a different angle,
But
and
both, yes, absolutely.
and both would have had to go through, I guess, different but strenuous or stressful situations.
Yeah, I mean, it amazes me.
I guess maybe the Epictetus. From a totally different perspective, but using the same process
Same process, yes.
to
So,
get to where they're expressing their authentic self.
yeah, so it's amazing that Stoicism
And the virtuous existence.
worked for an emperor and a slave. You know what I mean? Which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that shows its sort of diversity,
Universal.
how it's
Yeah.
universal, totally.
Universal.
You know, I mean, the Stoics had certain virtues, didn't they? They thought were very important because morally they were quite moral, weren't they? They want to do the right thing and do good things.
Yeah, I think that subject to me means to accept nature and accept yourself, your own human nature, right? And with that, I believe that is a natural thing that we all have,
Yep.
to do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think when we are getting away from our true self is when we have people, when you see people do violent things or do the wrong things or do cheating or killing and all that. That's when you're getting away from our
Authentic
true
self.
nature, authentic
Yes.
nature. That's
Yep.
my belief. I mean, people can, have their own opinions, but that's my opinion in that regard. Because so for me, I don't believe that you need to go to some sort of a place of worship in order to be a moral or a person or virtuous person.
Well,
I believe it's more for me. It's my accepting my human nature, and with that comes just naturally to do the right thing for myself and the people around me.
Well, it's interesting how morality has changed because after Christianity took over Europe, morality came from the church, and before that it came from different philosophies, and Stoicism wasn't the only philosophy. I mean, there was cynicism. That was a philosophy, and a lot of these philosophies we actually we've got words for them now, because cynics, they used to believe the worst of everything so that you wouldn't get disappointed, right? And their philosophy was expect the worst, so therefore you're not going to be disappointed.
Well, that's similar to the Stoic philosophy.
Very
in
similar,
a way,
very similar.
Because what you're dealing with is that you have an expectation that anything could happen.
Yes.
And all the people that you love could be gone.
That's right.
Right? So having that in the forefront of your mind, then if something happens like that, you're not then affected by that as much.
Well,
right? So you still have that mental strength.
Because you expect it.
Because you
it's not a surprise.
Expected it. Yeah,
it's a bit like someone's already told you the punchline before the joke, so it doesn't affect you. But
wouldn't that be quite negative though, thinking that way?
You would think that. You would think that, but it's not. It's actually liberating.
It's very liberating, yeah, totally. But I mean, in those days, life was a lot harder, and a lot more people died around you. So there was a bigger need for it. But even today in our modern society, shit happens. That's the fact.
Well, I believe now it's actually more needed than ever. Because when we spoke of the last podcast, we're talking about the technology, the news that is constantly bombarding us, that this bad thing happened, here, next door, or the same, or some other thing happened across the other side of the world.
Yeah.
Right? So we get a lot more of that negativity coming at us. So having the Stoic philosophy within you and strengthening your mind, that you become impervious to those constant attacks or triggers would be another word.
Okay. So Stoicism is about being cool and not letting outside events affect you, because you control your mind. As far as Stoicism is concerned,
that's right. Your mind.
That's the one and only thing you really control.
Exactly.
And that's the one thing you want to work on more than anything else.
Exactly. And they say that is the most valuable thing, because it cannot be taken away from you.
No, unless you get Alzheimer's or something.
Well, yeah.
But they didn't have it in those days. They didn't have it in those days anyway. So it cannot be taken away from you. It's the one thing that's constant from when you're born to when you die. Now, I suppose philosophy-wise, I mean, one of the philosophies that I've sort of been following I've sort of got to this through transcendental meditation and NLP, is the cause and effect. So I'll explain it to you.
Yep.
And it's curious how it's a very opposite way of looking at things from Stoicism, even though it's the same thing, but it's just a different side of the coin.
Okay.
And it's the same coin. So cause and effect, that whole philosophy is you are not the effect of anything. You're the cause of it.
Got it. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So basically,
you're at cause, you're not at effect.
That's right. So you're at cause, not effect.
That would give you a sense of more control
Totally.
over your life.
Absolutely. And I've been living my life that way. So basically, anything that happens to me, I control it. So I'm responsible. So therefore, it's up to me to react the proper way. And that makes you very stoic in a way. Because you know that it's your fault. Because let's say you're communicating with someone and people would say, well, okay, what percentage of communications do you, 50-50? I remember when we first talked about this, and it's hard to get your head around, but no, you've got to take 100% responsibility for communication with someone. Because I remember in the past, I go, well, that person didn't understand me because they're stupid. But see, that was
But that's the
being at the
presupposition
effect.
of NLP.
That's right. But then, exactly. And then
Yeah.
after learning this, I realised, hold on a second, they're not stupid. I wasn't communicating well enough.
Exactly.
It's actually me.
So
and when you start
you're taking
thinking that way,
ownership.
you're taking ownership and you're at the cause.
Yeah, yeah.
So with this, being at cause, you
Yeah.
control everything.
Got it.
With Stoicism, you
Yeah.
control your mind, nothing else.
Right. The difference that I see there, and
Yeah.
the only difference that I see for now, is that in that instance, you're actually making a conscious decision, right?
Yes.
So
Well, you start off making a conscious decision, but once you live a certain way, it's automatic.
okay.
You know what I mean? Let's face it. If you live a certain philosophy, I mean, I've been doing this for 20 years.
Absolutely.
Cause and
You know,
effect. And
absolutely.
I don't consciously go, hold on a second, am I at cause or am I effect? I'm just naturally at cause a lot of the time because I'm used to doing it. But at first, yes, I
It's a bit of a learning
I actually
curve.
did a lot of mental gymnastics because I'd enter a situation and I think, oh, that guy's a dick. And then it'd take me a while of thinking about it, going, hold on a second, if you're at cause, well, they're not really a dick. They're probably acting that way because of a certain thing. You're control of your state and you control the interaction, so therefore you would probably be the dick.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've been trained in NLP pretty much the same time as
Yes.
as you started. So my understanding of NLP is quite significant, I would say.
Yep.
And I understand what you're saying there. And the only difference, as I said earlier, is that you're not looking at the context at all with this particular sort of philosophy, with the Stoic philosophy.
Yep.
Yeah. So you're just only concerned about being your authentic self, right?
Yep.
And when you are being your authentic self, you are in the safe zone. You have your full capabilities, your full creativity to respond in any situation.
Yep.
Right. And I NLP. Love NLP. I learned a lot in NLP. The presuppositions are amazing, as you mentioned. Just taking ownership of the interactions and living your life with those tools, right? And this is coming from a totally different perspective, where you are present and you are aware of your surroundings. You are then able to respond. Okay, and for me, it feels different for me looking at my recent past, where I was heavily into NLP and discovering.
You make it sound like an addiction. It is addiction, NLP. It is.
Maybe it's a cult.
A good
Anyway,
one. It's not a cult.
So
Everything's a cult.
I feel it's coming from a totally different point of view. It's more consciousness compared to unconsciousness. So
Stoicism
is
more
unconscious.
unconsciousness.
Yeah,
Yes.
more unconscious. So yeah, I feel that working, when I say strengthening your mind, that is working on your unconscious.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, well,
that's-
neurolinguistic program is about building rapport between yourself and your unconscious mind. Anyway, that's what it's all about.
Yes, true, but it's coming from a different point of view. That's what I'm
You're
saying.
coming from a cerebral point of view,
Yeah,
where you're
it's
coming more
a bit
from the
like
body.
more top down.
Yes, and this
so
is going
consciousness
from,
down
Yep.
more, and this one's coming from bottom up.
Yep. So basically,
I prefer bottom up, but
yeah. Look, I'm so used to top up that I'm used to
yeah.
it, and I'm trying to
So
sort
what
of
does
switch.
that terminology mean? Bottom up, top up.
Okay, so from the top,
Unconscious.
from the okay, thank you. From the top.
Sounding a little bit weird.
Okay, from the top, you're using your mental facilities to work it all out logically. From the bottom up, you're actually using unconscious and your body and your feelings to work it all out. Now, I'm used to using my cerebral to go down, and trying to swap around to Stoicism from the bottom up, I'm finding it challenging.
Yeah,
That's the factor, because
yes, it is a big challenge.
The mental part, even cause and effect, the mental part was difficult, but after you do some mental gymnastics and keep persevering.
What do you mean mental gymnastics? Like, what are you doing?
Okay, so what happens is you have an interaction, right? And you think you're in the right, and you think they cause something, and then in your mind you go, hold on a second, I'm the cause of everything. So therefore, they didn't cause it, and you sort of go through all the steps and go back and deconstruct it and reconstruct it as you cause
Exactly.
it.
So it's a very conscious,
Right?
step by step.
Step by step.
And if you do that enough, it will become sort of unconscious.
Well, I think for me it's become unconscious because I've done it so many times. Because at first, when I first heard about this, I really didn't get it. And I learned this from Tad James. And I'm saying, Tad, what about this? He goes, no, you're at cause. And I go, but what about this situation, right? I go, no, come on. What if I'm walking along and someone hits me? Surely. He goes, no, you're at cause of everything. But this is what he said. And this is the interesting thing, because he did TM for a long time, transcendental meditation.
Yep.
And the cause and effect thing is very big there as well. So what he said, the reason you're at cause, and this is the amazing thing, because he said perception is projection. Mm-hmm. Because when we look out at the world, you're not seeing the world, right?
You're seeing it through your lens.
You're not even seeing it through your lens. It's inside your head. It's not out there.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. So we look at something, and I'm looking at that mirror over there, right? And hello. Anyway, I'm looking over there. That's actually inside my head. It's not there.
Okay.
I know it's physically there, but when I see it, I'm perceiving it in here because all I'm doing is getting razor light into my eyes, and those razor lights and everything else goes through all my filters and generalizations and through all my memories and things like that, where I change it, right? Limiting beliefs, everything else like that. And at the end, I get 7 plus or minus 2 bits of information that my brain goes, okay, let's create a reality. And it's like virtual reality made by our brain. So our brains are virtual reality machines. So the world is actually VR. And because VR, we're creating it, the world, whatever we perceive, we project. We create it. I know, it's pretty deep. Mm. And now how does that fit in with Stoicism? Because Stoicism says, okay, everything out there, you've got no control. And through perception is projection, you're actually creating everything.
All right, well, with the process that I outlined, essentially if something from the outside is actually affecting you, and just be present with that feeling, right? That is just essentially decoding your unconscious.
Yes.
Okay? Something's triggering you, you are going in, you're noticing it, you're not rejecting it, you're not running away from it. In effect, you're decoding that, removing that trigger.
Yep. Okay.
Right.
So the more triggers you remove, the easier it is to be your genuine self, to be your authentic self.
Okay.
Right? So then you'll find yourself that very little thing, very, very few things affect you.
Yep.
Okay. That's
Absolutely.
it, essentially.
Yeah.
That's what I'm finding myself.
So would you almost say, going through a lot of hard times gets you closer to being your genuine self? Because
depends on how you react to it.
Exactly.
Right?
If you're rejecting it, if
the
you're
thing is,
blaming someone else, if you're saying that person caused that to happen.
But let's go back to that word hard times though. See, that's just a perception. It's a label that you've made up.
Yeah,
it's not really hard times.
Rationalization.
It's just happens. See, that's the interesting part. So when we label something, we're labeling it. It doesn't really mean it's hard or not hard. So whatever time you're going through, you can call it hard because you've decided to call it that. But you choose.
You're rejecting
you choose, exactly, because the world is the world, right?
Yeah.
And nature can be cruel and beautiful all at the same time.
Absolutely.
And therefore we don't judge, we accept.
Yeah.
So when a wasp goes and stings a spider and sticks its eggs in there and they eat it alive from the inside while it's paralyzed, we could say it's cruel, but it's nature. That's what it is. That's just it is.
It's part of life
so
and
with
death.
nature doesn't judge. We judge though, and that's the challenge. By judging something, we give it a label and create it that way. But what we've got to do is, by being stoic, you can change that label. Because Epictetus, he was in slavery and was in joy and happiness, and because he decided.
But how do you get there? Because you can't just wake up and go, I'm stoic overnight.
Interesting word.
I tried that. Didn't work.
One word you said sticks out to me, and that is acceptance.
Acceptance.
Right. So what I said earlier is essentially that word, acceptance. Something on the outside has triggered you. Mm-hmm. Accept that that's happened. Don't fight it. Don't try to get rid of it, accept it, and notice where you are with it.
Right.
Yep. So being stoic is acceptance,
Yeah, that's one.
basically.
One word.
So would
Yeah.
you say if you're stoic, there's no hard times or nothing really negative, is there? Really?
Well, there can be hard times,
Yep.
but whatever hard times they are, as long as you have your full capability,
Yep.
then those hard times aren't as hard as they would be if you were to reject that.
Okay, Viktor
Right,
Frankl,
Yes, I've read his book.
Yeah, I read his book
Yep.
too, because he went through a concentration camp and came out and, normal and everything else like that. And
He came out happier, didn't he?
I mean, I don't know about happier, but didn't get depressed by it. Now, was he stoic? I wonder.
I haven't really thought about that.
His interpretation.
I guess he could have.
Yeah, because
It's been a while since I read that book, probably
amazing
20
book,
years.
amazing book.
But I have to reread that again,
Yeah.
and looking at it from a different lens.
yeah, because I mean, okay, I'm going to talk to some other people because I'm just curious.
Okay.
You've got Nelson Mandela,
Okay.
right? Now, he ended up in jail for
Yep.
standing up what he believed in, and he was in jail for a long time.
Yep.
And when he got out, he didn't take revenge at all.
Yeah. So the question is, did jail change him? Did he come out a totally different person? Is the question that I would have.
Okay.
Right. So if
I think he became very stoic.
or was he like that before he went in? Is the question.
I don't know.
I don't know. I've
I
never
mean,
studied
I
him or
think
anything.
being in jail that long is going to change you. Yeah.
Oh well,
It
could change
usually
it for.
changes people for the worse, doesn't
Well,
it?
yeah. So most people who go to
could-
jail
it
end up
could.
being pretty crazy.
I guess
But he
it
had a
could,
bigger
but it's-
cause in mind, so maybe that's what.
But if you're doing the process of what I outlined, accepting,
Yep.
and then strengthening your mind,
Yeah,
no matter where you are.
So how do
no
you,
matter where you are.
So let's try to do something practical here. Let's
Okay.
give someone an example of how to do it. I know it's being and not doing, but I'm a person that likes to know how to do things.
Well,
so
yeah, no, I keep
I
saying
know,
that,
'cause I know.
you kind of have to get the difference between being and doing, and it's not that easy to really communicate.
But how do you being, or for a better word, you know what I mean? Because
Well,
being is a doing word.
Yeah, yeah.
It is a doing word.
No.
Being.
No, it's the difference between spiritual, which you don't have to do anything to be spiritual, right? You are being, and you are a particular energy, right?
Yeah.
By
Okay.
being.
Well, I suppose to be stoic, there's certain things you have to not do, like react. Correct. I mean,
Yeah.
if you go into an action and then suddenly you get affected by it, well, then you're not being stoic and you're doing something. And maybe by doing
Well,
something,
it's
you're
about-
not being stoic.
No. If you go into a situation and then you are being affected by it, that is a sign for you to actually focus
Yes.
on how that's affecting you.
Yep. So can you
Okay.
give us a
That
practical?
is-
Can you give us a practical example?
Yeah, how do we
You know what I
apply
mean? I want to get my
stoicism?
sort of teeth into it.
Well, okay. Well, let's just say, do you get angry at a particular person doing something?
Not really. No.
about you?
I've been doing this cause and effect thing for a long time, so I don't really get angry. No.
Does he get angry? As far as you know. And
I can't
would
really
you say
think of
something
any good examples.
that would sort of trigger him?
Yeah.
No, look. No,
It's
I mean,
essentially-
I don't have road rage. If I have to wait in line, I'm cool. If someone runs late for an appointment, I say thank you for being late.
Oh, well, let's
you
just
gave me a
say-
chance to. Do I do that or not? I do. And people look at me and they're like, "What do you mean? Thank you for being late?" I go, no, because I thought to myself, because I used to get frustrated. Okay, this is one example.
Okay.
When people ran late, I used to get frustrated because I'd think, "Shit, my time's valuable. You waste my time. What the hell are you doing?" Now I've changed that now. So when people run late, I'm actually say thank you to them and say I appreciate you coming late, because when they're late, it gives me a chance to sit down and just relax and just be me. And I appreciate the opportunity now, where before I didn't appreciate it. You know, so that was I think I've changed that to a more stoic way of being.
Right. So before, were you being more yourself, or are you being more yourself now?
I'm being more myself now, obviously,
That's the process.
but it took me intellectually to do it though.
Right. So
You know what I mean?
yeah.
But I must say now, when someone's running late,
Well,
I
the
quite
word
enjoy it.
there would be you accepted.
Yes, I
Not
accept it.
only
Yes.
that,
You
he was
accepted that.
being grateful.
You accepted
Yes,
the reality.
yes. So yes, I accepted it. That's
you
it.
accepted.
Good.
You accepted the reality that people will be late.
That's right, exactly. Because they will be late, and that's the way it is. And you know what?
exactly right.
And the funny thing is,
But you put a positive spin on it.
yes,
as
because
well.
they're usually flustered and upset about it, and I find this helps them as
Calms
well
them down.
because I don't want them to be upset
The
or
reality
flustered.
is that people are going to be late.
What's the point?
Yeah.
That's the way it is.
You're not going to
That's
change
just
the fact
life,
that people are going to be late.
Oh, okay. Sydney. There's a
Yeah,
classic
I was
example.
about to
When
say
I
that.
caught up with you in Sydney, what happened was lightning hit the tower,
What tower?
the control tower. So
Yeah.
remember when I rang you and I said, "Hey, I'm stuck in
What
Sydney."
control tower?
In Sydney Airport.
Okay, yeah.
And I was at the airport, and the Qantas lounge was just packed everywhere, right? And people were getting agitated. You could see people moving around. I'm thinking, what's going on here, right? And then, what happened was all the flights were cancelled, and people had to wait around, and people were getting very agitated.
A good example.
And I was like going, well, this could be a good chance to relax. And I thought, if they cancel completely, I rang Rob and said, look, if they cancel completely, I get to stay in Sydney overnight and hang out with you. So awesome, right? So I was quite pleased about it, right? And I was also pleased because the people in Canberra, and I said it for a joke to this guy, I go, they'll probably give you a bus. They did. So the people in Canberra had to get a bus, and luckily I got to fly to Adelaide.
That is an excellent example, George.
Okay.
Excellent example.
And I
so
feel-
those people who were getting upset, they did not
Accept
do the
it.
stoic.
They didn't accept
They
it,
didn't
no.
accept. They didn't even think about, the flights will cancelled.
No,
they could be cancelled.
The poor
right?
girl,
They didn't accept that.
Yeah.
So if they actually thought about it up front, then it happened. They would accept it.
Exactly, because
Like you did.
The poor girl from Qantas, she was apologising to people, and they're like, "Oh, I'm late for this," and they're telling them what they're late for and cracking it at it.
Yeah.
And I said, and I walked up and I said, "Look, thank you for being, very gracious and actually getting us to be a little bit late, because I'd rather be late than have no control tower. You know what I mean? Because the
Yeah,
plane would be
you'd
flying
rather be
around,
alive
right?
and
I
safe.
said, I really appreciate it, and I really enjoyed, staying in the Qantas Club.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Wow." And I saw her just sort of, I gave her a bit of a smile because the poor girl was copying it from everyone. It wasn't fair. Then
not-
the people
it's not her
behind,
fault.
but the good part is the people behind me saw that, so they all changed as well.
Yeah,
instead
yeah,
of being
absolutely,
angry
yeah.
at her. So I
Yeah.
affected other people's state. So I was quite
Absolutely.
pleased with that.
Yeah.
But that was being stoic.
Exactly.
That was
It's-
after hanging out
and-
with, you know why? Because I hung out with stoic all day. You rubbed off on me, right? It's all your fault.
Being a good influence.
I'll take
yeah.
But
So it's sort of just being calm and accepting whatever happens to you in life, but
Yes.
also being grateful and having a positive outlook about it.
yes,
The acceptance
And-
and the process of noticing what is actually doing to you, that is decoding those triggering things, and that makes you closer to your authentic self.
yeah, so you're saying don't be surprised if shit happens.
No,
That's
exactly.
what it is. That's what
Exactly.
it's about. Something happens, your bus runs late,
Exactly.
your plane's delayed,
Anything can happen.
That's right.
Big
That's life.
deal.
Anything can happen.
your car breaks down.
You
that
can't
car's
control the outside. You can
So
only
I
control.
remember when I was a real estate agent, when I first started in '92, and I had a Chimera. And the Chimera, if anyone doesn't know what it is, real piece of crap car. And used to break down all the time. I'd be going, I used to get so frustrated. You know what I mean? Because I'd always be running late because of the car and because of
Yeah.
me. And I wish I was stoic back then, because I could have enjoyed the whole fact of having a car broken down. But because now I probably
See,
would.
it might sound
Yeah.
strange to people, you saying you want to enjoy the fact that your car's broken down.
Yes. Okay, but why not?
But why would you enjoy that?
Okay, the reason you enjoy it because you accept it.
But
And
how can you enjoy your car breaking down?
look, I must say,
Very difficult thing to do.
Christina, no, I believe that if my car broke down, I'd enjoy it.
What would you enjoy about that?
What I enjoy about it is because I enjoyed the ability of accepting it and not being angry, which is
And being
quite
present.
awesome. And being
Yeah.
present, it's awesome. You know what I mean? And because there's nothing I can do, I haven't got a magic wand,
Yeah.
so I might as well just accept the situation and be
And
there
then deal with it.
And deal with it.
And then you can deal with it more productively.
Yeah, because I mean,
more
me and Rob
intelligently.
had a
gotcha.
situation in Sydney.
Yeah.
We're trying to look for this cafe. I wanted the coffee, and we parked this underground
Yeah,
car
it was
park,
raining
and it was
cats and
pouring
dogs, you
down
just
rain.
couldn't see anything.
Anyway, we get locked out. We go up the lift to get locked out, right?
That's Sydney, yeah.
Anyway, and you know what Sydney's like? They've got this big thing going, we're going to tow your car, it's going to cost you like $300, right? Anyway, I suddenly start looking around, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Rob's like, hey, what are you doing? I go, oh yeah, we're stoic. So then I calm down, right? And we're all cool. But at first, I was like,
Panicked, yeah.
I was like a bit panicked.
That would be quite
Rob-
a normal reaction for most
Yes,
people.
yes. And luckily you reminded me.
So you were locked out of a car park where your car was in.
Well,
His
you know,
car.
I drove into the wrong car park. It was a private car park.
Yes.
Not meant to
Yeah.
be for
Right.
public, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then
And we're outside pouring down. It was
you
pouring
can't get in.
down.
Everything's
It
blocked.
was locked. There's
Yeah.
no way
You
in.
can't get in. So I had to make a phone call, try and figure out, you know,
And then we worked out really easy.
Car park.
So
Yeah.
I went to the cafe and said, hey, guess what? You know, we're locked out. And he was like, oh my God. And I was like, no, it's cool. We're locked out. But, you know, can you do anything? He goes, oh, not really. So then later, one of his managers came
Yeah.
out, took us down and got us out. Anyway. And by being cool, we enjoyed it instead. It was very cool. I felt like I was in the Fonz. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to imagine myself being Fonzie from now on every time something happens. And then I'll be super cool about it.
That's a
That could
good way to
fun.
be.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
And you got your car out in the end?
Oh, yeah,
obviously?
it's fine, and we
But
continued
even,
and-
even if
yeah,
you got the
it doesn't
fine
really matter.
and it got towed, you know, I've had my car towed in Sydney before.
That can happen. That's part of.
And it wasn't my
living in a
car.
big
Part
city.
of living in
It was my
Sydney,
friend.
yeah.
It was my friend's
You
car.
don't expect that.
And I parked it and went for a coffee or something. Came back 5 minutes later. The car's gone.
Wow.
And
I don't muck around there.
and I'm like, what happened to my car? So I ring my friend up, Greg, and I'm like, Greg, your car's gone. He goes, oh, they probably towed it. And and he gave me a number to ring. You ring the number, tell him the thing.
Oh,
and-
so he's been through it before.
yeah,
wow.
me not being from Sydney, never happened to me before, ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're really quick
Yeah.
there. They don't muck around. They've probably got these tow trucks cruising around.
Yeah,
bet.
depending on where you're at. Yeah, clearways are really seriously.
Yeah, so I didn't
Wow.
realise. Because in Adelaide, you can park anywhere.
Yeah.
And they have the signs, but nothing happens.
I once left my car.
Not the scary signs.
I left my
Your
car.
car will be towed. You get this fine if you park here, but you leave your car there for 3 hours.
Yeah,
and
we
nothing
got, we got your
happens.
car locked once, remember? But I ignored that sign.
Yeah,
We got locked
yeah.
away. We went to a restaurant.
Yeah, we
got
just
it
came and
next
picked
day.
it up the next day. Nothing
It was
happened.
easy. Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
didn't
easy.
get any fine. It didn't get towed.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
We're hanging around, waiting for them to open the gate. Quick, go in there, get your car. Yeah, so okay, so the habit of mindfulness. Let's talk about mindfulness, because being stoic is being mindful, isn't it?
I guess so. I'm not too familiar with the mindful.
But I guess
it's
being
more
mindful is
meditation.
accepting and being within yourself.
Yeah,
Not out
that's
of
what. Yeah, I guess that's what I say. That's what I mean when I say, you know, being present. With
How do you know
whatever
if you're
feels.
present or not present? I mean, you know, I'd love there to be that going, beep, George, you're present, beep, you're not present. I mean,
Don't you go into states of meditation throughout the day constantly?
you do. I mean, what happens is we
trance.
cycle through trance and non-trance every 90 minutes or so on average. Like for example, if you've ever driven home and you rock up at home and you're like, oh my God, how did I get here? Yeah, that's when you're driving in a trance. Happens
I
a lot.
remember it happened to me once when I was driving to my friend's house, but because I was driving on the same road that I drove every day to go to uni,
Yep.
I didn't even think about it being the weekend, and I just totally went into a trance and thought that I was driving to uni, and I actually drove to uni and parked in the uni car park, and then I was like, what the hell? I'm going to my friend's house. It's a Saturday. Like, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I just did that. It's
Yeah,
like I just,
whenever-
automatic.
Whenever I move house, happens to me all the time. I keep driving to the old house.
Wow,
Yes,
yeah.
seriously, because I'm always an automatic. Now, okay, so if I drove to the old house, am I being present or not present?
Probably not present. I would say.
But my unconscious was present.
Well,
Gave me a present, took me
you're
home.
consciously not there.
Yeah, you're consciously not there. Okay.
So you're not being present. If you're present, you would be aware of where you are at that point in time.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So if you're not aware where you are,
No,
you're
you're
not there.
No.
So being unconscious
so
is
your
not
conscious
being
mind
present.
is somewhere else.
Yes.
So the unconscious is actually driving, right? And your conscious is somewhere else thinking about something else.
Yeah,
and then your consciousness then becomes aware of where you are and you think, how did I get here?
Yep.
Right?
So what we've done recently, we do gratefulness, and
Yeah.
we've decided to make a habit out of it. And we do it before we eat, because that way we know. Also, we don't eat very often, so we're very grateful to eat. Right? And today we're going to be bad. We're not bad. We're going to have a breakfast today. Yes.
Breakfast.
And we decided we need to do a podcast first,
looking
and then we
forward to
get the
that.
breakfast. This is one of the rare occasions.
Rob's hungry.
He's been stuck with us for
My
2
brain's not
days,
working
and we haven't.
as well as it is normally.
No, because normally we have one meal a day, and every now and again we'll have a breakfast or a lunch, and it's always exciting.
And I'm always super grateful when we do
Oh,
have
very
lunch.
grateful, yes. But
Okay.
but being grateful, is that being stoic?
I think that's a process of becoming more self-aware.
Because I'm trying to be more and more grateful every day. Like even in the shower, I'm grateful. Not for the water, but you know, I try to be grateful.
I think that's on the right in the right direction. I feel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Being grateful is in the right direction of accepting.
Okay. What I want to do is give people something they can sink their teeth in before we finish this episode.
Okay.
Let's give people a few things they can do in their daily lives.
What are your top 3 tips
That's
to
right.
become stoic?
That's right. Thank you.
I haven't really thought about this. So where do I start? I guess the first thing would be to maybe start today and start writing a list of things that actually affect you. Or things
Right,
that
so you're like your
things that make
triggers.
you angry, things that offend you, something that your partner does that really pisses you off, and make a note
The
of
list
that.
is too big. I'm kidding.
Okay. Right. And I think that first step is the first step of becoming more aware of actually what's happening to
so
you.
you actually know what affects you.
That's all you need to do. You don't need to do anything else, really.
Wow.
Just that's building your awareness.
Yes, because once you're aware, then
That's your
you're
awareness.
more armed.
Right.
Because Stoicism is about don't be surprised by anything. And by writing that list, you're less surprised because you know it's going to piss you off.
Your awareness is more on the being side.
That's excellent.
I feel like that's
You're
given
not
me
doing
some
anything.
really useful
You're
things to
being.
do.
That's excellent. I'm going to write a
Yeah.
list.
Right.
Tonight.
Yeah. The next thing is after you become more aware, by just doing that list every day, then become more aware of in the moment when you're being triggered that way.
Gotcha.
And then just notice.
And just accept it.
Just notice your feelings, right? Your sensations. There'll be some sensation in your body that you're probably not as aware as you could be, right? And you will find the more you become aware of those things that happen, then you become closer at accepting those, right? So the third step would be to not fight it, okay?
Just let it go.
Yes. Because like you're saying, you don't run away from pain.
Exactly.
So how do you not run away from pain? How do you accept pain?
How do you it is more of the same of the awareness. So you're building your awareness. So the more you can actually feel the sensations in your body, it is more of that. Okay.
Yep.
It is more of that. So what will happen then is that, let's just say you've started doing this, okay, and you become you're aware, you've written the list, and then the next step is you'll become more aware of when in the moment, all right, and then you keep repeating that. The first few times you maybe you can only be there for half a second or 1 second for the awareness. And then you're not able to stay there any longer. And the next time you may find that your awareness grows and your capability to stay with that moment, with that uncomfortable sort of sensation, becomes more. So the next time maybe 2 seconds, right?
Okay, so
that grows.
Yep. And obviously, once you accept it, it won't be uncomfortable anyway, will it?
Yeah,
Just about getting out of it. So it's about getting
the process of
it's about getting out of your comfort zone with uncomfort.
That is the
So you're just
process
practicing
of
that
acceptance.
to become better at it.
Yeah.
So then your ability to accept grows.
The more times you do it, the less foreign it is, the more comfortable it is. And it's a bit like getting out of your comfort zone. When you first get out of your comfort zone, it's difficult.
very uncomfortable.
And then after that, you get used to it.
And your comfort zone grows.
Yes, so it's about expanding your comfort zone with your emotions. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. This is the process of what I say what I mean when I say you're strengthening your mind.
Yes.
That's the process of strengthening your mind.
That's amazing.
It's
That's
a simple
great.
process, but the more you do it, the more effective it is, and then the longer you stay with it, the quicker that actually removes those triggers.
Gotcha.
And you are then becoming on your way to being a Stoic.
That's fantastic.
Beautiful.
Now, I was going to mention 2 things that I'm doing, and I'm going from a different angle to be more stoic. Is one thing, I've taken up meditation, and I meditate every morning. I'm just using an app, I'm using Headspace, and I'm finding that helps me be present. But also, I've got this book that I read, and each morning, this is called the Daily Stoic, and it's 365 meditations. So what I do is I read a different little meditation, a Stoic meditation from one of the greats, and just contemplate it and try to work it out. And I don't always understand it, you know what I mean? Because the way they speak about things, but I think the more times I do it mentally, I'll be able to get it. Excellent.
Well, I think if you take on what those 3 steps I just outlined.
Yeah, I'm going to do
I
that
think
too.
It's fairly simple.
That's fantastic.
And it works. And it's not necessarily easy. It is simple, but it's not easy.
Excellent.
Okay, so the more you do it, the easier it becomes.
Now, thank you for that, Rob. Now,
My
Christina,
pleasure.
we're going to count you out. You're going to do a bit of a song for
Yeah,
us?
so I'm going to do a bit of a song for you guys.
Okay.
Okay, so count me in, please.
Okay. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4.
I don't need to be anything other than a prison guard's son. I don't need to be anything other than a specialist's son. I don't have to be anyone other than a birth that fits 2 souls in one. And part of where I'm going is know where I'm coming from. I don't want to be anything other than what I've been trying to be lately. All I have to do is think of me, then I'll have peace of mind. I'm tired of looking around rooms, wondering what I gotta do or who I'm supposed to be. I don't want to be anything other than me.
Beautiful. Excellent. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. See you next week.
For everyone listening, thank you once again. Stay well and see you next episode.
For awesome info and trending content, go to theuglytruth.blog.